Peace, family. I'm your brother in the struggle, brother Minister Ali. And in my ministry, I be helping people to help themselves, caring for the sick and the elderly. And just want y'all to understand, whether you see it or not, this COVID new virus is spreading like wildfire. Hospitals is getting filled up. People bringing their loved ones in, especially elderly. So you got to be careful whether you're vaccinated or not. Whatever your politics are, the lady down there is sneezing, coughing right now. People is dropping dead in these hospitals. It's real, you know what I mean? And the Bible, you know what I mean, tells you that when the plague of death came, if you didn't have the blood of the lamb on your doorpost, it'll come in your home, you know what I mean, and snatch your loved ones. But at the same time, if you're able to have the blood of the lamb on your doorpost, the plague will pass over. So we have vicious weather patterns. Over 50 people died because of the snow in America. People dying all over the world because of the sun heat waves. The First Lady, President Biden's wife, just had to have eye surgery because of cancer on her eye. You know what I mean? The radiation, you know what I mean? Melanated people have more protection. But you don't want to suffer the plagues that come upon this evil world, you know what I mean? So you got to use good judgment discretion. Eat your fruits, your vegetables. Make sure you're fasting, exercising, studying positivity. Isolate yourself, you know what I mean? And just make sure you stay in your lane literally, you know what I mean? Like this lady just was coughing and sneezing all down there, and I got a mask on. But if I would have walked down there, the germs and stuff that's in the air, it go right in my eyes. Next thing you know, my eyes all swollen shut when I wake up tomorrow morning. But I use good judgment discretion. I use them lessons, you know what I mean? So the blessing is I got my health, and your health is the wealth. Peace. Struggle continues.
Assalamu alaikum, family. Shalom, Hotep, peace, peace, peace to the streets. Peace to the gods and earths. I'm your brother in the struggle, brother Minister Ali. Today I would like to share with you a spiritual precept from the Bible in the book of Exodus, chapter 12, verses 13 through 18. I'll leave it up to you to read the finer biblical details. But remember, the Bible is not historical. The Bible is full of signs and similes and analogies and parables and things of that nature there. So there's nothing spooky in the Bible in reality. Our ancestor, Nat Turner, when he read the Bible, he interpreted the Bible contrary to the slave master's interpretation of that exact same Bible. Whereas the slave master interpreted the Bible in the negative and justified slavery, suffering, and death, Nat Turner and those with him and supportive of him interpreted that exact same Bible as promoting freedom, justice, and equality. Likewise, for 44 years, Messenger Elijah Muhammad interpreted the exact same Bible that the 10% preachers were reading from, except that their interpretation of that Bible led them to believe that God wanted black people to integrate into the house of their slave masters, to turn the cheek and love their enemies, and to, do good to those that do bad to them. And if somebody steal your coat, give them your sneakers and your boots too, and things of that nature there. Absolutely spooky, absolutely a slave teaching that helped maintain the mythology of white supremacy. So when the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us about the Bible, and that includes the Quran, when he taught us about the slave master, that included the white slave master and the Arab Muslim slave masters. He explained to us the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. He gave us a consciousness to do for ourselves. So in the Bible, in the book of Exodus, or the Exit, there is a bunch of signs, if you will. Now, I mean, basically, Yahweh or Jehovah or Allah or God whatever nomenclature or scientific name you want to call the supreme being. We say Allah, who came in the person of Master Fard Muhammad, to whom all praises are due forever, in the year 2023, wanted the messenger to separate himself from his oppressors. Now, the instructions were multiple. So in order to maintain safety in your household, you had to submit your individual will to the collective will of Yahweh and Moses and Harun or Aaron. You had to submit to the life-giving teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. Now, God, being a merciful God, he gave an option, if you will. He explained that you had to roast something. Now, I mean, you had to cook something. You couldn't boil it. You couldn't eat it raw, but you had to roast it over a fire. And he gave you the option. It could be a sheep or a lamb or a goat. So basically, he made a way in the wilderness of North America for the 5% or the poor righteous teachers or the FOIs and MGTs, as well as the goats, the rebels, the 85%, the mentally dead, those lost found in the wilderness of North America. They too benefited from Master Fard Muhammad and Messenger Elijah Muhammad if they carried out their instructions. They were taught that they were to eat bread that was unleavened, bitter herbs, if you will, you know what I mean? And most importantly, in order to avoid the wrath of death, the wrath of the death angel, the wrath of the final plague from coming into your home, you had to put the blood of the lamb on the sides of your door and on the top of your door. Think about that for a moment. You had to form a U over your home, your house, your apartment, your project, wherever you, if you was living in a car, if you was homeless, living in a box, wherever you may be, you had to have that spirit of Elijah, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, to protect your home by giving you clear instructions, by submitting to the life-giving teachings of the honorable Elijah Muhammad. If you did not submit to the life-giving teachings of the honorable Elijah Muhammad, you suffered slavery, suffering, and eventually death. That's just the reality of it. So why would the Bible teach this type of sign, that you put the blood on the sides of the post and on the top of the post? In ancient Kemet of Black Egypt and Black Africa, that symbol, the post with the top, symbolized the Black woman's womb. And whenever you entered into that womb, you came out of that womb, you were submitting to universal law. Father law, Mother Nature, the temple of man, the temple of woman. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad, as I have said repeatedly in 1972 in Elijah Meets the Press, warned us that after him, we would have to be gods over our own nation. He explained, what could another one teach us after he has brought us face to face with God himself? He taught us to see God or goddess in the mirror. He gave us the knowledge of self. He blessed us with the understanding that the 12 minor scientists did not have for over 66 trillion years. Only 12 major scientists knew the reality of God. But Master Fard Muhammad, to whom all praises are due forever, in his infinite knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, in his mercy, in his love for us, blessed us with that key, that ankh, that key to life, to avoid chaos or death and destruction in the hells of North America. He gave us the knowledge of self, which allowed us to become self-saviors, self-masters, believers of self, self-believers, to believe that we had the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding to answer our own prayers if we submitted to the reality of how the universe operates. He explained to us that this blood that goes on the post, blood is symbolic to the spirit. Now, I mean, it's symbolic to, when we say spirit, don't think anything spooky. We're not talking about a ghost coming out your black body. We're not talking about a white ghost coming out your mouth when you physically die and floating up into space as some type of vapor or smoke. We're talking about the 7 portals or the 7 dimensions of the mind. Now, I mean, you notice right here on your brain. See this here? Everyone. We have a temple right here on the right, and we have a temple right here on the left. Now, I mean, this is the cipher. This is exactly 180 degrees. 180 degrees and 180 degrees equals 360 degrees. We build in a cipher, on the cipher. We are the cipher. The earth is a cipher. The sun is a cipher. The moon is a cipher. The stars are ciphers. The universe is a cipher. Our blood cells are cipher. Everything in this universe operates in 360 degrees of peace, truth, freedom, justice, and equality. In antiquity, we may have called it Ma'at. We may call it the Ife in West Africa, the I Ching in Asia, what we may call it karma in India. What goes around comes around. It's all mathematics. It's all cause and effect. It's all based on mathematical principles. Now, in this day and time, we have to understand that these plagues are real. They are not accidental or by chance. It's cause and effect. If we're driving vehicles and flying airplanes in the air and we're polluting the earth, we're throwing garbage all in the oceans. When you're driving down the road, people throwing trash out their windows. They eat in McDonald's and throwing the wrappers out in the woods. Now, I mean, we have all these artificial ingredients and synthetic dopes and poisons all over the planet Earth. There's just a nonstop. Master Father Muhammad explained to us that the devil contaminates 3 cubic feet of air every hour in our 99 actual facts. And sad to say, you know, we breathe in 3 cubic feet of air every hour. So every breath that we take in is contrary to our nature. There's not a pure ounce of water. There's not a pure breath of air. There's not a pure handful of soil. Everything has been contaminated. The Holy Quran teaches us that corruption has appeared on the land and the sea on account of what mankind's hands have wrought. The devil is the devil, regardless of place or time. So I'm not one to tell you how to think. I'm not one to tell you what to do. I can only share with you some information, some knowledge, some wisdom and understanding, and leave it up to you. Now, I mean, some people chose not to be vaccinated. Now, I mean, some people chose to be vaccinated. That's your choice. I would tell you to beware of a tyrant or a dictator or a restrictor of your individual will that would tell you do not vaccinate your baby, or do not vaccinate your grandmother, or do not vaccinate your cancer sister. Do not vaccinate your diabetic brother. But at the same time, I would be wary of a dictator or tyrant that would tell you you must be vaccinated, regardless of whom or what. No, what you're supposed to do as a sentient being, as an individual, is look at all sides and use what the messenger called in our lessons, 24 Principles of Islam, use good judgment and discretion for yourself, because your circumstance may not be like someone else's circumstance. Now, I mean, I'm a minister. I've been a minister now for 40 years. And on my side, I see, when I go in the stores, I see people without masks. When I travel, I see people without masks. I see people with masks. I've been in situations where I saw a white guy come into the Rite Aid and he didn't have a mask on, and the Chinese doctor came out and explained to him, "Excuse me, sir, you can't come in here without your mask on." And he was a Republican, so he explained to him, "Well, I'm a Republican, I don't have to wear a mask. President Trump told me that I didn't have to wear a mask." And the guy explained to him, he said, "Well, if you're not going to wear a mask, you're going to have to leave the store." And he physically threw a box of cereal at the doctor. Now, on my left is my wife. My life. So I don't know what's going to happen. Is this guy going to pull a gun out? You know what I mean? You know, so the first thing I had to do was secure my earth. You know what I mean? But that simple message, that simple thing of those that don't want to be vaccinated and wear masks and those that do want to be vaccinated and wear masks, that conflict just added on to the thousands of other conflicts in the wilderness of North America, the dichotomy, the contradictions, and the hypocrisies that the 10% rich slave makers of the poor perpetuate all over the world. Yakub's law of divide and conquer, to have us arguing and fighting and killing each other, where we're like pawns in the game. I mean, but the real motives, the real goals is being dictated to us by others that are unseen. You know what I mean? They're not a spook nor a spirit, but they're making money on both sides of the coin. You know what I mean? You know, so in that situation, I was able to secure my wife and get her out of there. But, you know, people are literally going berserk on COVID-19. Now, let's look at some math. All right, according to the mathematics, as of January 2023, there are 669 million people that have COVID. All right, so you got 669 million people with COVID. All right, you have 640 million people that had COVID, lived through it, and recovered from the COVID. All right. You had 6.7 million people that physically died from COVID-related disease. You have to decide within yourself, what is the best thing for you? You know what I mean? I have seen in my ministry too many people with COVID-19. Now, the good thing is I have, you know, I'm starting to get up. In a couple of days, I'll be 58 years old, all right? But out of love for our people, family, friends, what have you, even strangers, I put myself intentionally in harm's way. You know what I mean? I'll put on my mask. I have to go in homes where people are so sick that they're in bed and I'm looking at them and they can't lift their head. You know what I mean? And I'll just sit as far away as I can and just observe them and be there for them and come bring them, you know, a little sip of water, try to get them to eat something. I mean, try to get them some fruit in them, some oatmeal. I mean, you know, just trying to help boost their immune system. And thankfully, none of them physically died. Now, I mean, some of them were extremely sick. Some of them had to be taken to the hospital by ambulance. Now, I mean, and, you know, their potassium levels dropped, they're dehydrated. They have to be treated by the experts. I don't consider myself an expert. Now, I mean, I don't play with people's lives. I don't, you know, I don't claim to, even though like I do natural medicine, I would never put out a herbal tincture claiming it prevents or treats COVID. Now, I mean, I don't play with the messenger teachings. Now, I mean, but at the same time, you have to take practical steps. I mean, you know, it's like, as long as I can remember for the past few years, every time we wake up in the morning, my wife gets up and she just do her little cleaning ritual. Now, I mean, she wipe down the lights and the remotes and doorknobs and spray her Lysol. You know what I mean? We spray the bed and, you know what I mean? And it's like, those things aren't necessarily necessary, but they're practical steps to help prevent things. Anytime we go out somewhere, we wear our mask. I don't care where we going. You know what I mean? We're going to put that mask on. You know what I mean? And on our side, we both have been vaccinated. I had a booster shot. I don't plan on getting a new booster shot. You know what I mean? You know, but I don't put a period on that either. You know what I mean? If the disease starts spreading rapidly and I see people getting real sick and coughing and sneezing and dropping dead and get COVID, I may go get that booster shot. I'm gonna use good judgment, discretion for myself. I don't negate or ignore that the devil is the devil, regardless of place or time. Now, I mean, you know, but I'm into science, so I analyze, deputize, and scrutinize the pros and cons and make the best decision for myself. I do not make the best decision for my wife. I do not make it for family or friends. I leave it up to them. You know what I mean? You know, and my wife been a registered nurse for 30 years, so she knows how these plagues happen in the wilderness of North America. She worked at Devereaux and Bayada and with so many sick patients. Her thing is like, oh no, you know what I mean? She know about how hospitals get. You know what I mean? She know how military systems get. You know what I mean? She knows that people suffer real hardships. You know what I mean? You know, it's sad. You know what I mean? And I respect her experiences. And on my experiences, you know, as a wazir or a minister, I may be called to have to deal with people that physically died from COVID, died from AIDS, died from a bullet in that eyeball, bullet in that head, 16 bullets all over that body. You know what I mean? And I'm physically pulling them out the refrigerator. You know what I mean? Performing the janazah prayer. Now we have to clean the body and prepare them. You know what I mean? And it's real out here on these streets. You know what I mean? You know, it's like, you know, it's so chaotic. You know what I mean? That I'll have situations where strangers may have died and people I know also died. So I have commitments to, like, I could be like, I can't go to this funeral because I gotta go to 3 other funerals. I mean, I gotta do 3 funerals over here, but now this person died. I mean, you know, this person was a friend of a friend of a friend. Now I mean, but I'm already committed to this family. I already counseled this family. I already prepared the janazah prayer. I got to go down Sister Khadijah's and do the thing down there. I got to shoot over in this city or that city. Now, I mean, I got to speak over here, speak over there. So you get pulled all over the place. But at the same time, your personal life is in danger every time you step into that cipher. Now, I mean, but I subconsciously and consciously realized that if they're sick, I gotta visit them. If they need a drink of water, I gotta bring them a drink of water. If they hungry, I gotta feed them. If I could help in any kind of way, I gotta try to do my part. Now, I mean, it's like, even with the love of my heart, sometimes you physically can't do it, but you could just extend your condolences. Now, I mean, you could extend your prayers to the family and friends. Now, I mean, but at the same time, you know, I'm conscious that if I was to get COVID, my hope is that, my prayer within is that this elder or this person that has COVID, they also have cancer, they have diabetes or what have you. They may be suffering from dementia or what have you. Now, I mean, they may have underlying conditions. So I have to weigh the pros and cons and be like, okay, well, without the help, COVID may kill them. Whereas if I come in and try to help out, maybe I can push that death angel back. Maybe I can stop that plague from snuffing this other life. Now, if it hit me, I'm blessed without having those underlying conditions. Now, I mean, it may put me in bed for a week or whatever, you know what I mean? But, you know, inshallah, Sakin, I'll come back. I'll be all right. And I mean, my body, my immune system, I did more good than harm to my body. You know what I mean? I did too much harm to it. You know what I mean? I polluted and poisoned it in countless ways, but I also fasted. I also ate to live as taught by Messenger Elijah Muhammad for decades. You know what I mean? I also been lazy, but I also used to exercise like a machine. You know what I mean? I got some weights in the gym in the garage right now, and I'll mentally be like, I need to go lift these weights, but I'll be so busy. I'll be like, oh man, I gotta file the corporate taxes for this, the corporate taxes for that. I gotta do this. I gotta fix the garage. I gotta fix the watch. I gotta do this. I gotta go visit. I gotta do this. So you got so much that you just be overwhelmed. You know what I mean? But Allah never places a burden on our shoulders that we cannot bear. You know what I mean? So, I'd be like, I can't get into me like I need to, like I should. You know what I mean? So I'll sacrifice my time, my effort, my health for our people. You know what I mean? Because I love our people. You know what I mean? And if I were to physically die helping the sick, the homeless, the poor, the prisoners, you know what I mean? I would consider that a beautiful death. I would consider that a peaceful death. I could die with that. Some people say they could live with that. I could die with that. You know what I mean? So it's not that important to me like that. You know what I mean? It's like I don't live my life with fear. You know what I mean? I live my life with the concept that my prayers, my sacrifices, my life and my death is all for Allah, who came in the person of Master Fard Muhammad and his first, last, and only messenger, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. But it saddens me when our people are not striving to do better, striving to do for self, to help themselves, because we can't help someone unless we first help ourselves. I mean, if I got COVID, I can't go somewhere and help somebody else. I can't even get out of bed myself. I mean, so I'm thankful to Almighty God Allah in person that during this chaotic time, I'm able to do my little bit of work. You know what I mean? To help behind the scenes. You know what I mean? It's not for pump and glitter. You know what I mean? It's not for fame or likes or money. You know what I mean? I do it for my little nickels, dimes, and dollars. You know what I mean? And the beautiful part is when I see a sick person back on their feet, smiling. You know what I mean? It's like when I love to cook. When I make some food for them. You know what I mean? And I put certain scientific herbs in there. You know what I mean? Some scientific fruits and vegetables in that smoothie, in that salad, in that soup. And their body react positively to it. And you see a person that was literally out of it. Now they back on their feet, they driving their car, they going back to work. Now, I mean, you know, they're not perfect, they're not whole, but they're good enough. And for me, that's enough. Now, I mean, so each one of us have to teach one of us. Each one of us have to do our little part. Now, I mean, you know, try to help yourself. Now, I mean, you know, personally, I'm like I said, in a couple of days I'll be 58. January 29th of this month. So, you know, I need to get to my doctor because they, you know, I need to get my colon screening and all that. I mean, I've been pushing it off. You know what I mean? I'm not concerned about it. It's just that I be so busy, you know what I mean? But I have to slow down and force myself to go see my primary doctor and get myself checked out, do what I got to do for my health. You know what I mean? Because if you know, even if it's a problem, you can always, if you catch it early, you got a better chance. You know what I mean? You know, so, you know, it's like, I'm not no heavy smoker or chemical, you know what I mean? It's like, I'm pretty sure my colon is cool, you know what I mean? But at the same time, as a black man in the wilderness of North America, you know, stress kills. Just living in this environment. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, it's like a African or Asiatic man eating in a European culture and country. You know what I mean? That could never play out properly. You know what I mean? You know, their sciences are based on white mice and not black mice. You know what I mean? But the melanin in those black mice has a different DNA. You know what I mean? You know, it's like, they be like, black men have high blood pressure. No, white men have low blood pressure. I mean, you know, it's if you was to, you know, study the world, you know what I mean? Like, they be like, this person is a diabetic, they overweight, they obese, you know, but then you look around the world, you see people over in Japan and they weigh 1,000 pounds. I mean, now this guy is on Dr. Phil, he weighs 1,000 pounds. He can't get out the bed. But this Japanese guy weighs 1,000 pounds and he's a Japanese sumo wrestler. He exercises each and every day. This guy, this big fat guy, don't have high blood pressure. He don't have high cholesterol. Now, I mean, he overeats intentionally, but he's eating cleaner foods, more natural food. He's eating fish and rice and lentils and, you know what I mean? He's drinking sake. He's drinking some white wine. He's eating fruits and vegetables. Where this guy's eating McDonald's and Burger King and Kentucky Fried Chicken and smoking Newports and whatever. You know what I mean? So there's a difference, even though things may on the physical seem like they the same. You know what I mean? The genetic essence could be different. You know what I mean? So, you know, someone can get COVID and won't even know they had it. You know what I mean? They you know, they really show no signs, as they say, and they good, they keep moving, keep doing whatever they doing. But that don't mean they're not spreading it. You know what I mean? You know, and someone else could avoid COVID, but they physically die from the regular flu. You know what I mean? So, you know, you have to use your own good judgment, discretion. But my recommendation as a minister is you symbolically put the blood of the lamb on your doorpost, meaning that you study and apply the life-giving teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and prayerfully you answer your own prayers. Until then, the struggle continues. And remember, family, only the messenger's message can guide you through this age of mess. Peace. The struggle continues.